Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to Skyblock 1.16. I hope you guys are having a good day. In today's episode, actually off camera a little bit, I have been trading some more with my villagers, and the main purpose of that is to get this librarian all the way up to master level so I can trade these. I now have 4 name tags, and the name tags are going to be crucial to the subject of today's video because we are going to be heading back to the Nether and setting up a Piglin Bartering station. Of course, piglins being natives of the Nether, it should be fairly easy to get them to spawn, but getting them to stick around is going to be the key, hence the name tags. Since piglins don't typically end up picking up items, or if they do, they're gold items that you then don't get back, I think the best thing to do to make sure that they stick around is to name tag them, take them out of the mob cap, and make sure that they don't despawn because they are tagged. Thankfully, we have enough iron now from our iron farm, which is still producing a fair amount. I'm going to be renaming these name tags in an anvil, and we should head over to the Nether to see if we can set up a quick bartering farm. To kickstart this endeavor though, and I'm going to switch into a gold helmet before I step through to the Nether, I actually want to gather a few more Nether building supplies, which means heading back out to those warped and crimson islands and seeing if we can start farming some trees. Since in the last episode we were able to expand these islands a little bit, I'm going to create a little offshoot of these islands with a little bit more of the netherrack I've been farming in the overworld, and I think I'm going to spread the nylium out to about here, so it's a good enough distance from this central tree that we don't end up removing that, because I kind of like that, actually. I want to keep that around as a legacy reminder of where we have come from in this Skyblock world and where we can still go. So 1 crimson fungus down and some bone meal, and there we go, a nice little exemplary crimson fungus. Now we're going to gather a bit of crimson wood, and I haven't built a huge amount with crimson wood in the survival guide. I tend to like the warped stuff more, but I'm going to challenge myself today to see if I can use some crimson wood. And of course, I forgot to bring a hoe with me, so I'm actually going to use some of this crimson wood already just to make myself a hoe using the spare iron ingots that I have. And an iron hoe is enough to insta-mine leaves, but unfortunately not quite enough to insta-mine some of this stuff. So we might have to try for getting some efficiency if we want to gather the nether wart. There we go, we got some nether wart blocks advancements there, and maybe we'll end up getting a diamond or even a netherite hoe in the fullness of time. For now though, we can cope with the speed of taking these down with an iron hoe. I just need to clear out the area a little bit more and then bone meal the ground to see if we get, there we go, instantly another crimson fungus. Very nice. And later on in the series, of course, we might move our crimson and warped farming operation to the overworld so that we can start farming this stuff in the relative safety of the overworld biomes. But for right now, we're going to do all of this in the Nether because I simply don't have a means to transport the nylium home. Even though I have villagers who will trade me a variety of things now, none of them are trading me silk touch quite yet. And I could just spend a lot of time off camera making sure I breed up enough villagers that we eventually get a silk touch tool, but that seems a little bit tedious to me right now when I could just be doing all of this stuff in the surroundings of the Nether. And we've managed to make the Nether pretty safe in the meantime, so I think this is going to work out all right. However, it is worth remembering that if you're in the Nether, you'll definitely want to remove or light up any of the solid blocks that are produced as a result of farming crimson or warped wood here. I've got about a stack now, just under a stack, so I think we'll probably call it a day there, but without lighting up the solid blocks around here or removing them entirely, there's a chance that other stuff could spawn out here, which means hoglins in this case, because we're in a crimson forest biome, and hoglins are potentially going to be a little bit dangerous to encounter at this stage when there is not much landscape around. So with that under our belts and a pair of crimson and warped fungi together, we are going to head back to the center of the world and consider a spot for our Piglin Bartering farm. The main consideration here is actually the farm that we've already built down here for zombie piglins, because regular piglins will still spawn in here, and if we are close enough to the zombie piglin farm that it is producing mobs, it's going to take up the mob cap very, very quickly, being down here at the bottom of the world. And I do want to keep my Piglin Bartering farm relatively close to the Nether portal, but if I start trying to spawn piglins within a radius of that portal, then I think this platform here is going to prevent us from doing so by virtue of the fact that the sheer number spawning down here is pretty astronomical. So I'm going to gather a little bit of gold here, and what I think I'm going to do is try and start a piglin spawning platform 128 blocks away from this farm, so that we can be guaranteed that we'll get at least a couple of piglins spawning up there that we can lure away from the farm and into bartering stations closer to my central nether portal. So I'm not sure what point it occurred to me, but it was somewhere between the end of that last clip and me wearing my diamond sword down to about halfway durability that I realized I was making a bit of an error. Why bother building the bartering station up here when, more realistically, I could probably build it down here adjacent to the farm and have nice easy access to the gold. So it kind of made more sense to me, actually, in retrospect, to come back down here after I'd logged out and logged back in to make sure that the piglins were no longer aggro at me. And we're going to try and lure a couple of piglins off this platform. The main problem, of course, being the amount of zombie piglins that are here to begin with. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do this by creating a little offshoot of the platform off to one side, or maybe even swiping away at all the zombie piglins until they are gone and only the regular piglins remain, or some combination of the above. But the idea is that we're going to have a bunch of little bartering booths over here on the side of this platform, making it nice and easy for me to transfer the gold straight from here into the chests above these piglin trading stations. We're going to start off with just 6 bartering booths, simply because I only really have 6 name tags to my name right now. I could do a little bit more trading off camera and so forth, but I decided I was going to get a couple of extra name tags and call it a day. The gold from this farm being manually farmed right now isn't really enough to sustain anything larger or more automatic, so I thought instead what I would do is just set up a couple of booths on either side, have them manually activated using a button. We'll go and get another one of those in a minute, and just having dispensers manually dispensing the gold, manually refilled for now, and we'll work on something a little bit more automatic when I feel like it later on. But in the meantime, we're going to have some hoppers facing into these temporary blocks, using the nether wart blocks for temporary blocks because I have so many of them here in the nether at this point. We can also use those to make a solid spawning platform if I want to make one over here. But you guys can follow along with this as well. It's going to be a fairly simple bartering farm design, of course, nice and easy to follow, but it should at least get us started with the resources these piggies can provide. Now, removing all of those nether wart blocks from the front of these, we can place some chests there for the output, of course, and the piglins are just going to be standing on or inside the hoppers so that they can just drop whatever it is they're holding, and they'll end up flinging it into a hopper to be collected in a chest. Now, of course, if we end up opening and closing chests near these piglins, they're going to get a little bit mad at me, but for now, at least, it seems like they're okay, and the ones in here are going to be contained so that they don't actually attack us when we open and close the chests. So between the chests and in front of the hoppers, we're going to be placing some crimson stairs. These are going to be inverted here so that we can still open the chests, of course, but we're going to have a glass block in front of that. I was thinking about using iron bars or something like that to contain them, fit a little bit better with the color palette, I thought, but in the end, I decided that we were going to have a solid block there, with the main reason being, of course, that the piglins will throw stuff out in front of them, and an iron bar halfway along this block would mean that the drops ended up getting caught on the iron bar and not going down into the hopper. So if we weren't on our game watching them to make sure that they were dropping things in the right direction, then we could end up missing some of those drops, which is absolutely not what we want. On the backs of here, I'm going to add some stripped planks like so, just to contain them inside of these cells. We'll probably add some slabs or something to the top of those. We'll make that crimson wood temporarily, but I think I will probably come back and add another block, maybe some smooth stone slabs or something like that, to give a little bit more of a varied color palette to this build. And a nice side effect of having the bartering stations here is that it's going to feel a little bit less agoraphobic out here when we just have a 3 wide space and nothing but the void around us. So I think that's going to feel a little bit more comfortable for me as I'm here at the gold farm. So naturally, each of these hoppers is going to have a dispenser facing downwards on top of it, and the slabs in there will help us place those. Those are going to dispense gold directly on top of the piglins, and believe it or not, if you haven't seen one of these farms before, the piglins will pick up the gold before it reaches the hoppers, meaning that they'll snap it up immediately and immediately consider it for bartering, and you won't end up with any excess gold flowing over into the hoppers unless you are spamming the button that activates the dispensers and the piglins don't have time to appraise the gold and chuck something else on the ground before they receive another gold ingot. But since we're not going to have a huge amount of gold flowing through this farm at all times, that shouldn't be too big of a concern here. In fact, I am just going to add a block or two on top of here, like so. That's where the redstone dust is going to go across the center, and I think we'll probably add another block on the front of this dispenser here, just for aesthetics, but also so that redstone dust can travel on there, and that's going to activate all three of those dispensers at once. We don't need to worry about any of those blocks being spawnable apart from the dispensers, where we're going to add one hopper on top of that, and a hopper on top of the other one over here. The hopper for the third one is probably going to go into the back somewhere, but that's going to mean that all three of these dispensers can be activated by the press of a single button, and that's going to dispense gold down onto the piglins. And from here, we can start to decorate this in a spawn-proofed way. The redstone dust on the top of that is going to take care of any of the other spawns. A pretty neat setup, I think. And as usual, I've underestimated the amount of hoppers that goes into automating a contraption like this, so I need to go and grab a few more things from the overworld. But before I do, I figured I might as well split the gold that I have here into a neat little set of 6 different piles there, so that we can get 6 piglins in here, all of whom will end up trading at more or less the same time. I guess we'll have 2 separate buttons on either side. It's not all going to be activated by one button, although maybe we could join it in the middle somewhere here, but that might overcomplicate things a little bit. Yeah, I think instead we'll just have it manually filled from chests at the top there and manually activated 1 per side. But now we have 11 ingots in each, which means a total of 66 trades are going to be happening once we get some piglins stationed in these little holes here. And until we come back from the overworld, I've left a few torches up there to make sure that the zombie piglins don't spawn, because they will spawn in pretty high light levels, but I think a light level of 14 or 15 should keep them away from any of those blocks down there. So here's hoping we don't have any zombie piglins messing with us when we get back from grabbing a few more things from the overworld. Well, in the meantime, I've done a little bit of a redesign here, just so that we can get up a little higher and reach these chests, because I realized that right down there at the level of the void, we weren't really going to be able to reach the back chest over there, and given the simplicity of the redstone design here, I didn't really want to mess with things too much, but having the hopper back there does make it a little bit difficult to reach the hopper for that third dispenser. Not to worry, though, and I've just cordoned off this area here, because I'm hoping that what we can do is take advantage of the fact that all of the zombie piglins back there are scaring the piglins forward in the farm. And so I wonder, this might be a little bit risky, and I don't think any of these zombie piglins are mad at me right now, but maybe we can open this up and let a piglin or two through, and hopefully they'll end up wandering into these booths of their own accord, and we can block them in, name tag them, and then block them in a little further once we have access to glass, which I'm either going to have to smelt some of the sand from the desert island, or alternatively, and this would be my preferred method, trade a little bit of it from some newly recruited librarians. But if we break off this, we should start to see the piglins jockeying for position, trying to get through, and there we go, they're through. Oh my goodness me, it's a stampede of piglins. There we go. Well, hopefully we should just be able to lock them back in there. I don't know if the building supplies, yes, they did. Oh dear. Oh dear, no, that's a bad thing, a very bad thing. Help! Yeah, well, that went about as well as could have been expected, didn't it, really? Let me go back and see if I can get my stuff. Wow, that's our first death in this Skyblock series. And imagine, it's to something as simple as opening a chest in front of a piglin. I get too used to the comforts of the survival guide sometimes. But of course they're going to attack me regardless if I'm not wearing something gold. So let's put on the full gold suit and let's see if we can grab a backup sword and maybe make an iron pickaxe or something like that so that we've got at least a little bit of stuff to go in with. So I'm making my return to this piglin area, suitably chastened but decked out in my best gold gear, hoping that these folks won't still be angry at me, and it looks like they are not. I'm not really hearing any snorts of annoyance from over here, and look at these guys wearing my diamond armor. That's so funny. It looks like a lot of the piglins have actually survived by picking up all of the stuff that I dropped. And so some of these little baby piglins might actually have saved my bacon at this point. Here is hoping that we can encourage a couple of the adult ones to get into these little booths here, like so, and then maybe if the baby piglins will stand to one side, that one right there is holding my diamond pickaxe, maybe, just maybe, we can block it in. There we go. Haha! You're stuck in there now. And hopefully we'll get a couple of the others to be stuck in there. Maybe if we can convince these two over here to come over with a couple of offerings of gold. I'm thinking we probably need to have some reassurance that, hey, don't be pushing me off this platform now, especially not if you're holding any of my equipment. There we go. I need to make sure that these little baby piglins are going to drop the stuff that I want them to drop, and I don't want any of them to pick up any of the gold right now. We also need to make sure that these guys here are trapped in there, but I think that should be fine as is. Look at these ones all hopping up and down here. I'm probably going to have to make sure that is blocked off, but I don't want to make the same mistake I did a few seconds ago. You two seem to be having a lovely conversation, but I wonder if maybe I can tempt you out by sneaking some of the gold out of these dispensers and dropping it on the ground nearby. Or maybe you're just going to wander out of your own accord. That's right. Come a little closer. And I wonder what's happened to the one that has got my chest plate. I have a feeling that one may already have, like, dropped into the void or something. Yeah, maybe in their haste to leave the area with a zombie piglin around or something like that, they may have fallen into the void. But that's okay, because Diamond Boots over here is getting in the booth, and if I can maybe get this baby piglin out of the way... No, you're staying in there, my friend. You are staying in there. You have no choice at this point. You're wearing my boots. You obey my rules. There we go. We have our second piglin trapped, and I feel really bad that you can't even see the fact that he's wearing the diamond boots. Maybe we will reorient that a little bit later on. You, my friend, you need to come on through here. The fact that this one has a crossbow is a little bit more of a concern. Yes, that's right. Step on in. Step on into my bartering booths with your diamond leggings. All right, let's get him into there. I really want to keep these diamond guys around, and I'm fairly certain that now they have diamond gear on, now that they are actually holding something that was originally my equipment, they're not going to despawn, so we don't even need to worry about wasting the name tags. And if you will just run back away from that farm... Oh, it's the baby zombie piglin, that's why he's annoyed. Well, I can be a nice guy and push this guy off into the void. That shouldn't be a problem. We can do that without hitting him, and that should mean that our friend with the diamond leggings is a little bit more keen to stick around. And oh boy, this bevy of piglins here that has all of my stuff is going to have to be taken care of in a minute or two, but I have to make sure all of the adults are away from me first. All right, my friend, you need to go into this booth on the end here, and I need to block you in. Perfect. Okay, and I should be able to get a couple of blocks around the side that will allow me to block this guy in as well. Okay, perfect. He is in, and we shouldn't have any of the other adult piglins to worry about. So... I feel like it is time. It is time for me to take care of these younglings. And I feel really bad about that fact, but it's probably the only way I'm going to get any of my original equipment back from these bozos. So it's happening. There we go. I got my lantern back. All of these little piglins are running around, and I hate to be so gleeful about it, but I'm going to need some of my weapons, tools, chests, all of that stuff. I will need it back from you guys. There's my iron hoe. There's a little bit of the charcoal that I dropped. There are some lanterns as well. And that guy right there has a diamond axe that belongs to me. Thank you very much. This guy had a cobblestone slab. This guy here has a lantern, and oops, I think I may have just knocked Diamond Boots off into the void. That's why I should have put the blocks behind him. Oh, well. A baby zombie chicken jockey is trying to make his way out of the farm inside of there. And, hey, at least we have two of these guys, so we can at least give the dispensers a try. There we go. Looks like they both got distracted by the gold there. I feel like they're probably going to get mad at me again once they are done. And at least down here, we should have one piece of... Yes, crying obsidian. There we go. Well, thank you for that, sir, and I'll need to block you in with something a little bit stronger. I'm hoping that some of my possessions might have ended up in these chests around here. We at least have some stairs in there and some stone slabs. There's a 1 gold ingot in there that I think just got dispensed out of that dispenser. Well, at least for now, we have a proof of concept. We know this works, and I was able to recover some of my stuff. The rest of the armor and stuff, of course, we'll just have to trade with villagers again. Not going to be the biggest of deals, but I'm having quite the day, ladies and gentlemen. Quite the day. So here's something funny. It occurs to me, and I think I have heard this about piglins, that they will trade out for gold armor. They will actually trade anything they are wearing if there is a gold equivalent on the table. So I wonder if maybe taking the gold out of this dispenser and dispensing the gold leggings to this piglin might convince him to drop my diamond leggings again. Let's see if he changes. Yep, he has traded down, and we've actually got ourselves those diamond leggings back. Well, that fills me with a little bit more confidence, and I really wish the one with the boots hadn't fallen off of there. I think this guy doesn't actually have any of the diamond gear that I was holding, or at least if he has, he's traded it away. I did get the shield back from him, I think, from that trade, because it was just sat there in the chest below. So against my better judgment, we are going to have to let some more of these out of the farm. But first of all, I need to return to the overworld because tragically, one of the things I lost in the mayhem of what just happened was the name tags that I was going to use to make sure these piglins stuck around. These two in the booths should now stay there permanently because I've done some bartering with them and given them new gear, but I will need to get myself some more name tags, which means a little bit more of a trading session, during which I'll probably try and get the rest of my armor back as well. Okay, here I am back again with only 2 name tags to my name at this point, but pretty determined to get a couple more piglins into these pens, and sadly the junior piglins will not suffice. It's going to have to be one of the adult ones, so we're going to have to break them out of this little pen once again. I'm fairly certain none of them are going to be angry at me at this point, and the zombie piglins will just have to cope with. Let's grab a couple of these, and let's take away that one there. And I think we probably have to break this wall here as well. So let's brace ourselves for the inevitable onslaught of piglins. Yep, there they come, there they go, and we can put the cobblestone wall back so we don't get any more. Now, these guys are going to frolic around here as I planned until I can put down a slab in front of them like so. And hopefully, if this guy moves out of the way and allows me to place a slab, there we go, that one is locked in. This guy here is going to be locked in just a second when I can actually place a slab in front of him. And at this point, part of the problem is the fact that they're getting so scared by the zombie piglins here in the farm that they're all running down to this end of the platform. But this guy, at least we can name tag, and hopefully we'll be able to give him some gold in a second or two. Let's see if we can just push one into this remaining outside booth over here without them getting too freaked out by the zombie piglins in the farm. If all else fails, I can always retreat back up to these top platforms and then get myself 128 blocks away so that everything else in the area and the farm despawns, and then we can make our way back and hope that there'll be some piglins on the outside again. But still, this is getting a little bit tricky. Okay, thanks to the fact that I've placed a couple of solid blocks nearby, we do have a couple of zombie piglins here who I think I could probably, if I'm lucky, just nudge into the void and allow this piglin to roam a little bit more freely, and hopefully we'll be able to coax him into one of the bartering cells, and that will be all we need to do. Alright, the zombie piglins have been disposed of, and hopefully this guy won't mind if I just nudge him into one of these. It doesn't look like there's any other zombie piglins around except for in the farm, so he shouldn't be too concerned about running around. He does seem to want to go back and forth between his piglin friends and these two over here, so I don't know, maybe we can convince him. I don't know, maybe if we drop a gold ingot on the ground, he might be convinced to pop over here. At the very least, we'll get a little bit of bartering stuff from him, and I did just steal it out from under his nose, so I feel kind of bad about that. Maybe on this chest here, how about that? Maybe that will entice you. There you go, and you're in, finally. Okay, gosh, that took a lot longer than I expected. Oh, thank you for the fire charge. I will try not to set you on fire. Put that in my inventory. Okay, so at least at this point we have, I believe, unless these guys in here have despawned, which they shouldn't have, we have 4 piglins in the system, and that guy is for some reason still sporting my diamond leggings, so I wonder if maybe those have ended up on him thanks to the fact that I did end up dying a couple more times off camera. I didn't think it was necessary to include any more of those. I think we can probably let a couple more piglins in, but we're not going to do that right now. I think it's probably time to get some more supplies to build up the rest of this farm, and I do need to figure out how we're going to get piglins down into here. I think we'll probably just end up removing that block. And yes, despite its efficiency, despite the fact that we have our bartering system right there, I kind of wish that I'd stuck with my plan from the beginning of the video now and we'd made the whole bartering system a little bit further up, because spawning the piglins in and making sure they got into the right places in the farm would have been a little bit easier that way than building the farm right next to my existing gold farm. But hey, we live and we learn, and I think this has been a pretty fun episode regardless, just because of the chaos chaos that has ensued as a result of all of this. Okay, excellent. We have 2 more piglins in here and 1 zombie piglin currently menacing them. I think I can probably help them out with that as long as they don't decide to run out of this little enclosure too far. Hopefully we should be able to just nudge this zombie piglin into the void, and then I can remove this block here. That block there is already gone, and these 2 piglins can be safe at home in their hoppers. And hopefully with that threat dealt with, we can just enclose these 2 in here. He's trying to get out. He's underneath the stairs right now, so thankfully I can just nudge him back into this area, and bam, and boop, we've got you. Fantastic. Okay, and I have, in the meantime, smelted up a little bit of glass from the sand on the desert island. And don't worry, we can always get that back if we need to, but that is going to go in front of each one of these piglins. And, I do still need to give this one here a name tag. That's a very good point. So let me pop this block out here. There we go, we've name tagged you, and these 2 are having a quick chat before they go back to working in their respective bartering booths. Our last friend here with the sword is gonna hopefully just nudge his way into here, like so, and there we go. All 6 of them are in place. Now, once again, got to name tag this one, and then we're going to shut him behind the glass and probably bring out the glass for these 2 as well. Now, I do actually need to go and get myself some more crimson wood if we want to keep the color scheme for this area, because I did end up losing some of the stairs that I was using to decorate this whole place. But the design of this place can still be okay. In fact, I might end up using slabs instead of stairs just so I can get to these chests from the opposing sides. And now, finally, I can put this farm back the way it was and get rid of all of this temporary stuff that I've put around here. Probably, first of all, by slashing at the feet of whatever is still in the farm. There we go, with all those piglins out of the way, I've finally managed to reset that front wall of the farm, and hopefully nothing is about to sneak up out of here and attack me. Oh, I've had enough of that today. I've definitely had enough of that, and these guys aren't looking too happy with me as a result, but hey, we can probably distract them with a little bit of their favorite gold. Now let's pop the redstone dust back in place here, and I think all of these dispensers still have some gold in them, so there we go. Fantastic. They're all receiving gold ingots, and we need to put the button and the redstone back in place on this side as well, but hopefully it should have the same effect on these piglins, and one of them isn't currently visible because he's behind here and behind here, but in the chests below we should end up with some goodies that we're going to use. Looks like I might just have enough crimson slabs actually that we can just cover up the remainder of those chests. Let me place one in here, that way when I replace the glass in this spot I don't get shot by this guy, and I do need to give him some more gold leggings. We'll attend to that in a second, and this one here can get replaced as well. I don't think this guy is going to be mad at me if the others aren't. There we go, even though he's got a crossbow. Perfect. All right, so we are now finally in business with our bartering stations here, and not a moment too soon. I was a little bit worried that these guys were going to be the death of me so often, but now, yep, looks like they're all chucking stuff into the chests. We have some obsidian, we have some soul speed iron boots, some crying obsidian and spectral arrows. We've got some crying obsidian in there, a smooth stone slab that I need to pick back up, and some nether bricks, and even water bottles, string, and renewable soul sand. Isn't that great? Well, finally, I end up being able to barter with these folks, and I need to put in another hopper and some chests in the top of here. So let me grab some iron, and we'll grab the remainder of these chests from my inventory, and we'll be able to fill these up. Yep, because that's not connected to anything. This one has a hopper over the top of it, so we don't need to worry about that. We can place one there, and one there, and I believe that is all the solid block surfaces on which other mobs could potentially spawn. So we're not going to have to worry about any more zombie piglins spawning around here. We should have those taken care of. We'll take this block out as well. And the rest of these are all stairs or slabs or other things with redstone dust on them that should hopefully not be able to spawn anything. And I did mention in a previous episode that I was thinking about farming obsidian by going into the Nether, breaking the portal, and either diving off the platform or remaking a portal somewhere else so that we could farm the obsidian portal it generated in the overworld, or do the opposite and create another portal in the overworld that would be in a different place in the Nether. However, it was brought to my attention by some folks in the comments that, of course, piglins will trade us obsidian now. So we actually have the option of getting some regular obsidian out of this, which one of them I believe already traded with me. Crying obsidian will not make portals, but that's totally fine because the regular obsidian will. And if I get looting on a sword and I can get more gold ingots out of the piglins in here, or we can set up a more permanent, large-scale gold farm, I think that's going to be for the best. I also want to bring a blast furnace down here. Well, I did bring a blast furnace down here to begin with, but that's no longer with us, unfortunately, so that we can smelt up some of these gold swords and armor a little faster, convert them into nuggets and into ingots, and then we can end up trading that to these guys as well. But look at this. The bartering booths in full swing, and really, really glad that we've got this finally set up after all the trials that we've been through to get that far. A little bit more crying obsidian from you, some soul sand from this one. There's some more obsidian for us, and a couple more blocks coming in over here as well. Even some ender pearls from this guy, and some iron nuggets, which would have been useful before we had the iron farm, but I'm not going to say no to them now. I even get to distract them with gold when they get a little bit mad at me for attacking the other piglins in the farm, and I'm going to run this down out of gold, so all of the gold in these dispensers is depleted, and from there, I think I'm probably going to start filling them up equally every single time, and I can always check the dispensers in here to see how much gold is left in the system, but I think that's going to work out splendidly well, and hopefully we'll be able to get a few more interesting resources from them as well. Not to mention the fact that piglins now trade us blackstone. We can even get gravel from them. We have some splash potions of fire resistance coming through. Fantastic. I'm so happy that we've got a few more building materials to play around with now that piglins will renewably trade us blackstone. Don't even have to have a custom crafting recipe for it in this pack. It is all there for us in the game's natural features in 1.16.2. And that is, I think, where we're going to leave this pretty chaotic episode for today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Skyblock 1.16. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you do, don't forget to leave a like on it for me. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.